Fairy Tail is back, and I'm glad this chapter went the way it did. I really am. So we're going to start off back with Natsu's arrival in the middle of the fight between the two sixes. And we kind of learned something new about one of Midnight's powers, because from this point onward, everything you see about Zero and Natsu is completely fake. We already knew Midnight could fake reality, create illusions, but apparently he also is able to steal memories, because everything that Happy, Misfortune, and Natsu say going forward, Midnight should not know any of it. For example, Miss Midnight says, "Our plan was to resurrect the dragon gods, but now I know that's wrong." The thing is, she says this right as Natsu's getting punched in the face by Zero, and we know that all three of them are an illusion, because like I said, later in the chapter, we get to see what actually happens. So Midnight should not know that Misfortune was a member of Fire and Flame, and he sure as hell should not know that she switched sides. But his illusion magic seems to let that happen. And as you can imagine, Zero is super happy to see Natsu, because he's the one who basically killed him before he was resurrected, and the first thing he does is he goes straight to punching Natsu in the face. Once again, this Natsu is an illusion, but that doesn't matter right now. Point is, we then jump over to a real fight, which is Urza versus Wed still. And yeah, they're pretty evenly matched as swords masters. And you gotta remember, Wed was the strongest member of Fire Flame outside of Igna, and he was stronger than the Scenario sisters, and the Scenario sisters were stronger. Mitsuki, who apparently was on par with Gildarts when it came to magic power. So probably the character that leveled up the most during the 100 Years quest is Urza. She's then able to get a good nick out of his face. He dodges mostly, but the point is she cracked his mask. Back to the fight with Natsu and Zero. Natsu, of course, goes in, attacks with just simple fire fists. That's when Zero activates Genesis Zero, which is the attack that Zeref used against Natsu back when he had Fairy Heart. Natsu then claims that he's already beaten this spell, which is kinda true. I mean, Zeref was holding back the entire time. We know this, but still, Natsu did in fact burn this spell once. The spell that is supposed to basically erase you from existence. Once again, this Natsu is an illusion created by Midnight, and yet he knows something about Natsu fighting his brother that he shouldn't know. Like, I don't think Natsu ever talked to anyone about the kind of spells that Zeref used. And if he did, he sure as hell wouldn't be talking to Midnight about it. So I have no idea how Midnight knows that Zeref used this spell against Natsu, but alright. Anyway, the illusion Natsu burns away the spell just like the real Natsu did back in the day, then charges in to attack Zero. Zero then activates two spells at once, which surprises everyone because that's just not something that people can do, dual casting. And when I think about it, yeah, dual casting is extremely rare. The only characters we really get to see do that is Lucy when she activates multiple keys, and Leon when he creates two different constructions of ice with two different hands. Anyway, both of these attacks combined create a explosion that shakes the entire area, and the aftermath is Natsu turned pale white and beginning to crack. Basically, Zero has succeeded in killing Natsu as Happy and Misfortune freak out at the death of their friend. And then everything begins to crack apart, shatter, and there you go. The illusion is broken as Midnight is able to sucker punch his father. The crazy thing is, if you look at the shards, you see Zero laughing in those shards, which means even the Zero that was fighting the Natsu was an illusion. The real Zero was just standing completely still, basically believing that he was moving around fighting, but in fact that was just a fake version of himself. Midnight's illusion magic is pretty broken. It doesn't just give you the ability to know information you shouldn't, I'm assuming by reading people's memories, but also it is able to hypnotize you personally to believe that you are doing things when actually you're just standing there. With that being said, the Natsu at the beginning of the last chapter was the real Natsu. He did show up. That's when Midnight activated his illusion, and he then immediately told Natsu, "Hey, this is my fight. You go to Urza, who's currently dealing with Igna and such." And Natsu's like, "Oh yeah, no, that's more important than this right now." And Natsu just took off, which is a major surprise to me when it comes to Natsu, because usually he'll just take a fight for what it is. But at this moment, he realized, no, Zero and these demons aren't the main issue right now. The issue right now is Igna and Ferris. Those two are the big threat. They're the ones who are going to destroy the world, basically. I need to stop them right now. I don't know if this is because he's obsessed with beating his brother or what, but this is one of the very few rare times Natsu is thinking clearly and is being responsible. And so yeah, I am very happy about this. I'm glad Natsu isn't going to interrupt the fight. I'm glad the Oratio Seis is going to fight the Oratio Sect like they were supposed to, and I'm glad Natsu is thinking rationally. This was actually a really good chapter, because it put away all the doubts I had before, and it is focusing solely on what should be happening, what characters should be doing at this moment. But of course, that's not the end of the chapter. The chapter ends off with the continuation of the fight between Urza and Wed, and apparently Urza hits Wed in the head a couple more times, and his helmet completely crumbles to dust. And while we don't get to see who is behind the mask, Urza recognizes this individual. It's clearly a man, obviously, and there have always been two major theories about who Wed could be, because he's so obsessed with Urza, and that is either Simon, her childhood friend that was in love with her, that Jalal murdered. If it is him, then that means they used alchemy magic to bring him back from the dead, the same way they brought back God Serena. That's the only way I can think about it. Either that or they figure out some resurrection magic. And the other option that's been going around the internet is that this is actually Urza's father, but that would make him over 400 years old. And there are two major issues I have with this. One, he's 400 years old and yet he's still alive. So unless he got cursed with the curse of contradiction, I don't understand how this would be possible. And two, the man actively persecuted his wife for turning into a dragon. There's no way in hell Urza's father would want to become a dragon. The man went full witch hunter on his own wife. I just don't see that happening. So if this is anyone, it is most likely Simon. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you can enjoy more Fair Trade and other things. Thank you and have a great day.